This episode is sponsored in part by PTZ Optics. Why hire a camera operator when the control is in your hands? Visit ptzoptics.com for more information. And by NewTek, makers of the TriCaster TC1. Stun your viewers, not your accountant. Visit newtek.com for more information.
Hey guys, welcome to a special edition of Creators Corner. I have a special guest that's, when I say literally changed my life, and she has been exceptional in my care over the years. I think it's been about 4 years. We have none other than Dr. Sandra Lee, dermatologist, Dr. Pimple Popper extraordinaire. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. It's really great to see you. You look fantastic.
Oh, it's been a journey, but I think I've healed well. I think I've exceeded expectations, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, we expected this though too, but I do think you had a lot of help, not just from me, but from your local dermatologist, right? That put you on some medications to help keep this under control and kind of even probably aid in improving it as well.
Yeah, in fact, that was a great recommendation for Dr. Susan Woods. She's been really heavy in watching my care and everything like that. So that's awesome. What I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today is I wanted to kind of get into how you got your start. A lot of people just think they just wake up one day and end up on TV, but you really embraced social media, video, everything to do with the internet. And so I wanted to kind of get a backstory. What made you decide, as a dermatologist, you're getting out of school and you decide, hey, I'm going to start putting this on the internet. I'm going to show people all this gross stuff that most people never see.
Well, actually, it all started. The show started because of the what I was doing on social media, and I started that. Really, I was kind of lucky in the sense that I started it really 10 years into my practice already. I'd already been a practicing dermatologist for that long. So I already had the experience on independently of, working as a dermatologist and really having the confidence there to do things as a dermatologist. If you're just starting in your practice, it's not so easy. Certainly if you're filming it, you're not really so eager certainly to film
Right.
it. And it all started there. So it was before there really weren't any surgeons or dermatologists, physicians at all on social media. And I just decided to kind of show a little window into my world because, dermatology is a very visual field, and Instagram, obviously, it's just pictures and things. It was back then. It wasn't even video, I think. And since then, it just grew. It was just what happened was that I happened to post a pimple popping video, like a blackhead extraction or something early on, and I got this big response. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? I didn't even know people were into this. But I just, I saw it as an opportunity to just see how this would grow. And I just literally put like a new blackhead log on the fire like every day to see how it would grow. And that's when like the television show came calling, because we grew to such a size,
Hmm.
like on YouTube and things like that. I think after a couple of years, I actually don't remember the dates, but this all happened in 2014, like 10 years ago from now. And then I reached like 1 million, followers on YouTube, and on Instagram we got big as well. And then I think now we're like at 8.7 million or something like that. But the big thing is we have like over 5.5 billion views, which is really crazy
This is
to see,
crazy.
because it's something that people watch over and over again. It's not like you just watch something or a piece of something to learn how to change your tire or
Right.
something like that. Or you might watch a video, people gamers, right? I don't think you'll necessarily watch a video over and over again. Tell me if I'm wrong, unless it's a very popular one. But my videos, people tend to watch like maybe as a nighttime story, every night.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's interesting because you were one of the first people, and I remember sitting there watching on the couch when I saw it, and I said to my wife, as I was going through the process that I was going through, and I said, if she's the dermatologist, if she could see me, I know she could probably fix the issue, because my story. I've been to dermatologists. I went to my whole life, and they were never able to solve the problem. And I think you gave people like me, and I know there's people that were worse off, you gave us
Mhm.
hope. You gave a lot of people hope because you could see beforehand. You got to see other people go through similar experiences and see the outcome, right?
Yeah, it's a really, we doctors do this sort of thing every day, really. And I just get this opportunity to get to see it really and see how we change people's lives. And, I think that there definitely are other people that do rhinophyma treatment, which is what you had. You had loop surgical electrocautery really to your rhinophyma, your thickening, right, of the skin there. And other people do it. It's just not as commonly seen. And
Mm.
so you just had to sort of find the right person to do that for you. But I'm really lucky to just be part of people's lives in that way. And I don't take myself too seriously. I think that could be a start of a downfall, Like I think a lot of people do the same things that I do. And I'm just very lucky to be a part of their lives. I'm lucky to be a part of your life.
Well, I think it's interesting because of you using social media and marketing through that. A lot of I've noticed a lot of dermatologists, a lot of doctors, healthcare physicians, they're getting more into this space. They want to stream, they want to do recordings of their surgeries, whatever it may be. Um, Now you attributed a lot of what you did online to your success on TV. Now, if at this point in your career, if you were to stop doing anything online and just strictly stay to TV, do you feel like you would grow?
Grow in what sense? Like grow
Audience
followers or
wise, yeah, I think audience wise, or do you think you kind of still need that internet following from people so that you can really
I
personalize with people?
well, that's a complicated answer, I think, because, there's just different No, I think I think that the area that you're growing more is in social media. I mean, a
Hmm.
lot of the young people, they don't watch television, right? They
Right.
they watch streaming
Yep.
or they're just on YouTube all the time. So
Yep.
you're just getting a different population of people. When you talk about television, you're getting a usually an older population, and there's a lot of change and flux in streaming, as you may know right now with like television and cable. Like cable supposedly over, but maybe we're sort of going back to a different form of cable, with all the bundling of all these different streaming platforms or old TV platforms that are now streaming. So it's a complicated thing. In terms of growth, it's funny that you asked this because, you know, I don't know. I'm concerned about that. I mean, I care
Mhm.
about it, but I don't think about that daily. Like I feel like I've done some good things. I mean, we have like 35 million followers across our platforms. We have a lot of views. People and the thing is that's different with the television show is it made it truly a bigger deal internationally. I mean,
Right.
YouTube allows you to be international, which is fantastic, but to have a television show is different, really. And it's very cool to be in different countries and they recognize you, and they might not even recognize your voice because it's dubbed, in a different language. And that kind of stuff is cool.
But
So it's just
a lot of people, they always say, like I had done radio previously about like 15 years ago, and everybody's like, "Oh, if you can get on radio, when we were a podcaster, you've made it." And now with the space that we're in, they say, "Oh, if you can get on TV, then you've made it, and you've kind of did everything." But I kind of agree with you. I think that you need to still keep that presence on the internet, that social
yeah.
media going because, I mean, honestly, that's how I even applied to your show, and I thought that was really interesting that you had whether it's you have your team working for you to do that, but that you were asking people like, hey, do you want to be on the show? This is how you do it, and you use social media. Like when I was growing up, that wasn't even possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. So you're saying that like people in your world, like in content creators like that, they feel like their ultimate, all of this stuff that they create on their own on YouTube and things like that, their sort of ultimate in many ways is to like make it by having a television show or something like that.
I think a lot
What
of
you're
them do. They
saying.
want to get either like a series. The big thing is Netflix, right? Netflix is huge right now, and there's at least in the gaming space, there's a lot of documentaries that have come out on Netflix. They've come out just in general, and there's a lot of guys that are passionate in certain areas, whether it's arcades or nostalgia with retro consoles. they want to have their own show talking about this, going out. You're probably familiar with the show American Pickers, where they go around
Yeah.
and
Yes.
they okay. So
Yes.
there's a similar thing with gaming where they'll go around looking for those old retro titles that we grew up when we're 7 years old. You can find them and they're worth so much money. They want to do they feel like if they could prove themselves on the internet that a TV company is going to pick them up and take them to that next level.
Yes, I think I'm gonna say from my side that I think there's good and bad with that. There is something the fact that I've had a little bit of both, I would say the thing about you doing your own thing and putting it out on YouTube and creating your own stuff is you own all of that and you have control over all of that. When you start involving a network or streaming platform or they are going to tell you things that they want to do, and it may be their ideas, and it might be people who don't even watch your show or
Hmm.
know about you, and their ideas for the show may be different than yours, and they're gonna really ultimately have control over what you put out, and you might not even be able to just like you might not even be able to repost that content on your own streaming platforms, right? Because they own it. So there's good and bad to it. Yes, it does open you to this new world, and I think it probably is more something that you want to attain because not many people have it. Like also there's something to
Right,
that.
right.
But do I think that it's the be all end all? I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that if you're good and you're big, like you're gonna make it big in stream in your own on your own platforms and on social media, and you're gonna be the one that is benefiting more so than a big group of people, agents and lawyers and network executives and
Right.
just a lot more involved with that.
Well, let me put this out to you because this is another thing that we struggle with. Well, as creators, you put
Hmm.
yourself out there on the internet. Now you have to develop thick skin. You got to develop something that you don't normally have to deal with on a day-to-day basis because now you've opened yourself up to the world. You, of all people, you have the one of the largest followings that I've ever seen, and now you're doing all these medical procedures that maybe other doctors are kind of scrutinizing. Do you ever find yourself in a position where you're like, I just need to shut off social media? Like these people are kind of getting on me, even though you wouldn't publicly say that. You just kind of it wears on you. I know for me
Yeah,
sometimes it wears on me, as you know with
right.
the show.
You know, I think I get more tired of just doing the same thing all the time, especially if the algorithm changes on a social media platform and then it
Hmm.
becomes a lot harder to do something that you've been doing for a while and having a lot of success with. Repeatedly, I've been almost shut down or shut down for a small period of time because of the content that I have. It's surgical content and people might consider it gross
Yeah.
or for shock value. And I think and part of that is sort of like because other people are on the bandwagon, so they're creating this thing that like is not necessarily what I'm doing because I feel like mine is more educational and I am a true
Right.
physician doing this, and I'm not trying to make a mockery of it. I'm just showing people educational content that they find interesting, not hurting the patient in any way, not causing them discomfort, but hopefully making them better, right? um, and I think that it is that is something tough, but I have actually, knock on wood, been very lucky with people not sort of coming at me too much, because I think it has to do with what I do
Hmm.
because I'm actually helping other people, so it's a lot harder for you to sort of, think about their content creators that are out there kind of like helping, surprising people and giving them money or helping them build a house or, it's a little harder to insult those people if you're doing something to better their life. And I'm also very careful to not engage with like troll like behavior. I
Hmm.
just try to stay out of it. And I found that is the best thing. And I think that I learned that even from being a physician myself, because I really learned one of the big things that I try to tell young people coming up is don't insult other doctors publicly, or like don't say things to like, just keep quiet. Like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
The golden
You know,
rule.
yeah, and it's because if you do that, you invite it back. Like if you can do that, then why can't somebody do that to you? And I think if you try to just stay quiet, I think it makes me boring, more boring. I'm not in the drama, like where you have somebody throwing a table or freaking out or
Right.
flipping out. That gets people attention, but I don't really want that attention. So
Right.
I'd rather just be the slow and steady, like the turtle, than the rabbit that, like, tries to race to the finish line kind of thing.
No, absolutely. I think that's good sound advice because that's something a lot of people that are getting into the space. It's not so much just creating content about something you're passionate about or having the skills to make good video and have good audio, but also to bear that weight that you are going to be under a microscope. You are going to
Yes.
have your whole life examined, and the bigger you get, the bigger the challenges come. Right? You're going to have to deal with that. And I wanted to ask you, as we'll kind of wrap this up here a little bit. Um, when I auditioned, we had the video that we had to send in. I wanted to kind of get, because I never heard this from you. I wanted to kind of get your initial reaction when you saw this video, and I'm demonstrating the problem that I had. What was your? Is this just like it's just a run of the mill rhinophyma incident, or
Well, until the show, it wasn't so run of the mill. I mean, we've seen some pretty big rhinophyma cases since then. But what I look at, so I mean, I don't know if this people care about this necessarily. I mean, you may care about this, but I look at it as um a, a doctor who's going to potentially treat this. Like, how long is this going to take me? How
mm-hmm,
involved is it? I mean, even though it's not, I mean, it's big, obviously,
yeah,
it's big. You're the one that had to live with it day by day. But but it's not like, there's some that are quite extensive or much more obvious. But
yep,
yours passes a good amount of your nose. And that is always something that concerns me more, because the more that it is on your nose, the more that I have to numb and just make sure you're nice and comfortable, to help remove it. And also, as when you're doing this sort of thing, you're really sculpting. You're really trying to sculpt their nose back as close as you can to what it was previously. And um, it's harder when you just have a big. If you just have something hanging off the side of the nose,
you
you
just
just
got it.
take that off. Yeah, the nose is still there, but when it's like the entire top of the nose, what did your nose look like before? Did it
Right.
have a little piece slope up? Was it more pointed? Was it long? So it's a little harder to try to do that. So less is more for me. Like, I think we even said to you, did you come back a second time actually?
I did come back, and I
Yes.
remember getting the phone call. It was like I was finally healing up, and I think the producer called and they said, "Well, Dr. Lee wants you to come back. She feels like she can touch you up some more." And I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I sat there and I was like, "Well, it looks good the way it is." And my wife was the voice of reason because I know what's all involved. Like, you had a hard time numbing me, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, "Listen, I traveled here. I don't care if I feel, all the way through, and I'm gripping the chair like." I
No,
felt a
you
lot of it, so it was
right.
kind of like in my head. I'm going, "Do I really want to do this again?" My wife goes, "You came this far. If she says she can do more now that your nose is healing, you need to go back. Like you need to
And
do
it's
that."
not as big the second time around, so hopefully it wasn't as big of a
No,
deal
that was a
because
second time was a breeze.
yes. Yeah, we're just fine tuning things. And that's something that I also definitely tell people that with rhinophyma. I mean, interestingly, I guess the take home for this is that it is deceivingly more complicated when it encompasses your entire nose, and it's sort of
Yeah.
like just a larger size of your whole nose in general. That is actually more difficult because you're trying to create something, that is completely hidden from you.
If you could give advice to some of the healthcare physicians out there and providers out there that are looking to do something similar to what you're doing with online, what would be some advice that you would give them to get started, to get moving in this space, to kind of get a YouTube channel going, to do uh, similar niche, what we'll call
Mhm.
niche surgeries and things like that?
I mean, my main thing is to it's like gambling or like playing the lottery. The only way you're gonna win, so to speak, is to play, right? So you
Hmm.
have to put out content. And it's not necessarily that easy. Not everybody can do it. And I'm not saying like I'm amazing that I can do it. It just happened to be, I think, a meld of a bunch of different things for me. that I had already been in practice for 10 years, that I already had experience behind my belt, that I already felt somewhat confident in the things that I do. And I didn't know I had a good bedside manner really until until I put out videos and things like that. But the way that you communicate with people is important, and you're going to put yourself out there. Like, you don't know, it teaches you actually how to take care of patients, because you can learn, like, maybe from the comments or the feedback that people, that, oh, I act this way a little bit and maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should do things a little bit in this way, just to not to please not to please your audience necessarily, but to make your patients feel more comfortable, or to make your surgeries better, to make to make you a better dermatologist or a better physician. So I think if you think about it in those ways, and if you don't like it, just don't do it. Like, I mean, you can't
Mm.
force yourself. You can't make it, because it won't come off well, if you really try to force it. And, if sometimes you just may not be come off well there, and it's hard thing to take, I think, but it can happen, so, I'm sure in your business too, like, you wonder sometimes, why is this person do so well and not this other person, right? What is it
Yeah,
about them that makes them successful when
it is. It's like we always call it the it factor, right? There's something that you could have the best content in the world, but if you're not, like you said, that bedside manner, if you're not personable, if you're not somebody that explains in detail very well your craft, whatever it is, you can run into a problem where you're going to build an audience because nobody's going to be able to follow you. They're just not going
right.
to make that connection, right?
Right. And I think it's a lot about you sort of flirting with your audience, like, you are popular because they like you as a person. They
Hmm.
would like to be your friend. They like listening to you and listening to what goes on in your life, or, they're curious about it. They enjoy being in your company. So that's really what it's about.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Lee, I really appreciate you taking the time. And guys, if you want to check her out, go to
Thank you.
drpimplepopper.com. And also on TLC, you guys have the episodes
Yes,
running live, and
that's
your
right.
YouTube channel,
Yes.
Dr. Pimple Popper, right?
That's right. Yes. And it's really nice to see you. I think you look fantastic. If I could get us side by side, I want to take a little picture of us though
Oh,
together.
absolutely. We can do that. We can
Something
do.
like that. Here we
I can
go.
pull off that if you'd like. We can
Looking
do
good.
something like this too.
Yeah, you look great. You look fantastic. So I'm very proud of all the work that you've done, and really that you were brave enough to really talk about that, when you were going through it, and how it really, I feel like you were not really working in the same capacity, right? Well, because you couldn't, did you show your face really a lot, or
I did,
you did?
and just ignored it. But I like we said in the episode, people used to leave rude comments and things like that. And one of the takeaways that I wanted to have, and I said it on the episode, was I wanted people to learn that you could do something like this that's out of the ordinary and be inspired by it. Don't let something that's either a physical handicap or, and even if you don't classify it as a handicap or something that's anything that hinders you, I feel like it could be considered a handicap. And
Right.
don't let something like that stifle your dreams. Don't let that get in the way of it. And I just learned to ignore it. And now it's just like, as a broadcaster, you're in the pocket. I have no other way to explain it. You're in the zone now. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm not thinking about people are they wondering what I looked like before, because I have a whole new audience. It's a whole different world, and some of them it's shocking for them to hear the story, right? But I want this to be
Yeah.
inspiration for people to say, look, don't give up on your dreams just because you have a physical defect. Find somebody that can treat it and keep
Yeah.
moving. Keep looking ahead.
Yeah. It really allowed you to grow and be the person that you are, and be proud of it. So, and I'm proud of you.
I
So
appre- I
yeah.
appreciate that. We're gonna wrap this up, guys. I really appreciate everybody checking this out. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a subscription, and we will see you next time.